Hard Facts.
99.3 Nigeria Info. This is the nation's #1 talk news and sports radio station. We're broadcasting live from our audiovisual studios right here in Itamiyan Crescent, Victoria Island, Lagos. My name is Maryann Okon. This is Hard Facts. On the big Hard Facts today, we are going to be looking at electoral reforms and other matters arising on the road leading to 2027. Now, for those of you who've been following, we've had the 2023 general elections, several by-elections, and off-cycle governorship polls. And one thing is clear: Nigeria's democracy is still a work in progress. From glitches in beavers and the uploads to delayed results, from low voter turnout to allegations of selective enforcement of campaign rules, Nigerians have seen enough to know that trust in the process must be rebuilt in 2027. Now, just this month, opposition parties led by the People's Democratic Party warned INEC that there must be no glitches, no excuses in 2027. They're calling for legal backing to enforce electronic transmission of results, for tighter regulations of early campaigns, and for transparency in appointing the next INEC chairman. Today on the Big Hard Facts, we ask, what reforms must we pursue legally, institutionally, and technologically to deliver elections that are credible, transparent, and trusted? And how do we make sure that the lessons of 2023 and every by-election since then are not wasted? My guest is joining me live via Zoom. I want to thank him for always saying yes to us whenever we call. Paul James is my friend, but he's also a development consultant and elections analyst. He's also a policy specialist, and he joins us live via Zoom. Paul, it's so good to have you join us. You look so well. I wish I could just look as good as you do. Thank you for joining us on Hard Facts.
Thank you so very much, Megan. It's a Monday. After work, what do? You relax. But here I am talking to you. Thank you for the opportunity.
Thank you so much for allowing us to take a little bit of your time. Let me quickly just put some facts on the ground before we go straight into the conversation. By the way, Lagos, we're live on facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. We're also live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. You could join the conversation from there. On X, use the hashtag Hard Facts. Now, INEC's reform roadmap has 142 recommendations drawn from 2023 polls and off-cycle elections. Opposition parties want legal guarantees for real-time electronic result transmission. CSOs like Yaga Africa and CDD are pushing for reforms to end early campaigns, conclude petitions before swearing-ins, and strengthen INEC's dependence. Finally, turnout in some by-elections have fallen below 15%, raising fresh concerns about voter apathy. So let me start by asking, looking at the big picture from 2023 to the most recent by-elections that we had, what do you think are the most critical issues or lessons that Nigerians must act on, especially with all that we've seen in the space of 2023 and now?
Well, I think I'll start recommending Nigerians and by extension the institutions of government for what I will term as, for me, early engagement of the process, which I think is very critical. If you look at the next round of election, we still got about 14 months thereabout to the election. But we are now beginning to have this conversation. For me, I think it shows intent, but intent also have to be backed by action. And I'm sure that is why Nigerians are asking questions. Glad you mentioned all that INEC had recommended, over 144 recommendations. These are recommendations that were made to the National Assembly Committee on Elections last year. Civil society also have espoused their own recommendation about the kind of reforms or engagement that they want to see in this space. Importantly, again, I think the one that even you would be interested, one of the reforms that civil society are asking is early voting for people on special duties on election days. The security agencies, the journalists, INEC officials, observers, people in the military, military, if you like. People also working in hospitals and all of that, just so that people will have the opportunity to have a say in who becomes their leaders. This is also a practice that is common in some African countries. Ghana does that. So if we just want to borrow a leaf from that, and we think that is also very practicable. By extension, I think one of the recommendations by INEC, if this can even be extended to people in prison. And so, yeah, people are also talking about diaspora voting. Can that be practicalized and all of that? So, like I said, that we're having this conversation early for me is a no-brainer. These are also from lessons of the 2023, that despite all of the commitment you see from the stakeholders, things fall off just about close to the election or even on the election day. So for me, putting the right foot in the right place for me and all of the conversational engagement that are happening, like I said, what you want to see next is that this intention should be backed by action. One of the things that I think is very prominent in the conversation is the need for electoral reform. And I'm sure if people are following, they will be wondering, why do we keep having these questions or these conversations with almost every election? It is important because after every election, you go back to reflect and see, okay, what worked and what did not work around the election. Are some of these issues of election administration, or some of these issues of electoral law that you want to strengthen? For instance, you are talking about political parties raising questions or concerns around the law supporting electronic transmission of results. This is because of the encumbrances you see, or the lack of clear understanding of the law, especially with regards to how INEC applied it. In some instances, INEC even will tell you that what they were doing was just upload of results, just to avoid the mathematics or the confusion of electronic transmission of results. So what political parties are asking is, can we be explicit and put this information in black and white to avoid all of those confusion that came with the 2023 election? But what you also want to see is that what are the opportunities before the 2027 election? We got the Anambra election that is happening in November. You have also middle of next year, the Ekiti and Osun election that will happen before we plan for the 2027 election. The ask is, can we even have all of these reforms completed so that they can be tested in some of these elections? For instance, I think either the ECOWAS convention or one of the conventions said you cannot have new laws like 6 months before an election. And so that was what President Buhari, late President Buhari, latched on. I think was it Buhari or Jonathan that Buhari refused to sign one of the bills that was submitted
Buhari, yes.
by the National Assembly because he said it was too close to the election. Valid as it is as a reason, I thought those are the lessons that we could say we have learned from the past. And if we truly want to bring on these reforms and we think they can help our elections, then the time to talk about them is now. And like I said, that is why I'm very excited that we are having this conversation.
Lovely. Like you have said, the transmission, the clarity of messaging from INEC is very important. I think one of the things that really got Nigerians angry, for the want of a better way to describe it, was the go to court line.
Exactly.
After INEC had promised, heaven and earth, and then only delivered a basket of bonds to Nigerians. Why must we emphasize on that messaging? What would you do? Because INEC can decide that, okay, there's going to be clarity with messaging, but what about the actionable plans to back up that messaging?
Exactly. I couldn't agree more. I think for INEC, I will see that as a miscommunication, especially that was also coming from the head of the commission at that point in time. Because at that point, you also would have expected him to exploit the section that give INEC the opportunity to review election results that were conducted under questionable circumstances. That was the questions by political parties. At that point, we also didn't know what was the rush to just declare election results, since you can take your time to review the results as they were coming. In fact, at some point, we thought that was the intent of the commission, like it was trying to just push people off so that it could take the time to analyze all of the issues. And then INEC went ahead to declare a winner and then would tell people that are aggrieved to go to the court, almost like subjugating its own responsibility to the courts, because some of the things that happened were issues of election administration. And there was no time, except this was far after the election, before INEC will begin to talk about restitution, in the sense going back to see some of the issues that had happened, doing his own internal audit to also apportion blame where they were supposed to apportion blame. But this was what people had expected, especially where you have the scarcity of trust on the Election Commission. If you want to build confidence, we thought INEC would have made a perfect example with one of those elections. And then to just dismiss things and say, go to court, it's almost like now we have a third leg in our elections. You have the people, you have INEC, and then you have the court. We had a situation that, in fact, elections are not even confirmed until you hear the verdict of the court. And I think for me, it is becoming shameful that if you talk in the language of election jurisprudence, people will tell you in Nigeria, elections are not concluded till you hear from the courts. And then what does that make? For me, a mockery of democracy, especially when it is not now the popular will that get to determine who becomes their leader. Elections will happen. People will see the direction that they thought the election will go, but you are waiting for the courts to decide. And then you go to the court. Elections at the court will then be determined by technicalities. You begin to question or wonder what exactly is this technicality. So, of course, a lot of Nigerians will ask the questions. A lot of Nigerians will be worried. And so on INEC, you always want to have that assurances from the commission that they are going to do what is right by the people. Opportunities will continue to come for the commission. You have the Anambra election happening in November again, like I said. You also want to see that these elections are concluded, if possible, on first ballot. And then if there are issues with the election, as people go for other rounds of the election, INEC should be able to definitively tell people what the issues are, and then if a winner emerges, let us have INEC made a declaration and not the commission that will be telling us to go to court. We did not elect or appoint, the president did not appoint the judiciary to be responsible for our election. The commission is the one that is responsible, and it has to be seen to be responsible for every aspect of our election.
Talking about the court, we will go back to that court issue, but just to, press on it now that we're talking about it. The introduction of courts and installing of people through court orders. How did we get here? Because it's become modus operandi of sorts. That we can use the likes of Amechi as an example, the Imo State governor, and several others who, by a court order, they became governor or sat in a seat. How did we get here? And is it going to be able to literally expunge it from our electoral system anytime soon, being that now it looks like it goes to the highest bidder, in a manner of speaking?
So let us also be clear. We are not saying that having the courts in our election is entirely bad. It's the politicization of the justice system that we thought is bad in our election. The courts are also there to make to mar any wrongs that had happened, to make right whatever wrong that has happened in the election. This started, if you recall, I think from the Anambra case of 2010 thereabout, Obi and Ingige, and I think that was like the first case that led to the off-cycle elections. And after that, 5 or so other states went to court again between 2011, 2012, the likes of Akwa Ibom, Adamawa, Kogi, and all of that. Edo, one of that. Some of them was resolved, and then they didn't get to fall in the category of the off-cycle election. But after that, we see now we got like 8 states having off-cycle election. The addition was, I think, Imo or so in the 2023 election. This is not the kind of practice we want to see, especially in our kind of democracy where resources are always very scarce. Because if you think about the political economy of managing one state election, sometimes it's like even better you have a national election than you manage the state election, because you think about how every political party will want to deploy to the state, how INEC officials will even have to mop up there are resources from other states to also be able to pull through a state election. So the cost of even conducting one state election, for me, I think is very telling. And so you want to go back to the system where we could have all of this completed. But again, like I said, that is also why the court exists. But you also want to look at issues on the merit of the issues. To what level does this deviate from what is supposed to be the norm? And also, to what level also can the court rectify the issue and get things right? That will continue to happen. But for us as a people, what, again, you want to look at, if you talk about issues around mandate protection and all of that, to what level are we also going to be committed to that as a people? We have seen elections that had happened that you might think will go the other way, but because people will stand their ground and protect what they feel is their mandate or their vote, the election will finish and the winner, as it is willed by the people, will be announced. So maybe we also need to increase the currency of the kind of protection around the election. I know also there are other exercises you want to look at, like security dynamics of the election and all of that. But again, the people need to do more. The commission also need to also do more in ensuring credibility of the process as we have. Then maybe by then we'll have less and less involvement of the court. But just also not forget, the court involvement is not just on election day. You also have pre-election matters that the court treats, sometimes also post-election issues. So you have to look at it both, and sometimes these issues are within the party. Sometimes these issues are between parties and the commission. Sometimes the issues are also external based on the outcome of the election. So we have to look at it critically, but again, increase also the quality of political education around our election and awareness around our election. Maybe it can help the process going forward.
Thank you for bringing me to my next question, which is obviously political education, not just voter education, because we quickly say voter education, but then there is a series of processes that lead to the voting process in itself, which is the whole electoral process with campaigns and political party involvement and what you need to know. But we always just talk about voter education. And this brings me to the issue of low voter turnout, because the political parties that some people might be supporting, or we all support, people support different political parties. If they do not throw up the kind of candidates that you want, you blame the political parties. But then we have not necessarily been involved in the processes in those political parties. We just wait for the election. And then if we don't feel like them, we don't show up to vote. Is this low voter turnout as a result of, because there is not enough political education out there, we're not having enough of the conversations? Are we just telling people to pick up their PVCs and vote, as opposed to educating them on how the process works? For example, before I let you answer, I always tell my audience that the moment an election cycle ends, the politician is already strategizing. Hence, you see what is happening with the presidency and the ADC in a second year of a government. But we, the voters, go to sleep and wake up on election year. What do you have to say to us? Because there's that mindset that we've had over the years.
Yeah, thank you very much. So again, what has been happening is that we, most of the engagement are episodic engagement, just like you also rightly observe. A lot of people don't even know that continuous voter registration is happening in the country. Forget that awareness is happening and all of that. You will be shocked until very close to the elections, and persons will come to you or will call in the radio to ask you, when is INEC starting continuous voters registration? Sometimes we also need to apply ourselves to the process and follow through what is happening. You are right that for an average politician, the more as one ends, they begin to strategize for the next one. Perhaps it's also the same attitude you expect from the people. I would rather also say we need to intensify civic education, which will be like an all-cycle affair. And this is also not supposed to be something that should be hard. I feel as much as providing basic information to people in different settings can also help a great deal. Like we all have mentioned, voter registration is ongoing. I feel for me, the very first step of civic participation participation is even from the voter registration, because that will now be the access that the voter need in engaging in the election itself. So first, you want to see that a voter that is yet to be registered is provided the opportunity to go and apply he or herself to the process, get registered, and get prepared for the process. And beyond that, also for the voter to begin to ask the right questions. Hey, where is the location of my polling unit, or how does this process work? I mean, for me, it's no big deal that people can ask and get this kind of what you may term basic information, but they will be very critical, because sometimes there are a lot of challenges to voter participation in election. The one is people not even knowing the location of their polling units. Sometimes it is in the morning of the election that people will want to start running around to look for their polling units. And then if there are restrictions of movement, for instance, and people are not able to locate their polling unit, it becomes problematic. You may wonder, why are we saying location of their polling unit? Because at the moment, registration is done at the INEC office. The much that can happen for physical registration is INEC may devolve that to the ward level. So it is within the ward now that you are going to have polling units. If you have a ward, for instance, or a location that have polling units that are split into multiples, and then on election day, the voter is not able to identify the exact polling unit, and then movement is restricted, it then becomes problematic. So as on the part of the voter also, like I will say, we all need to do that extra mile to ensure that on our part, we did all that we thought within our power we can control. If you think also about what happened in the last election, largely also not the problems of the voter. Close to the election, there were some policies that we thought did not sit well with the people. There was the cash crunch policy. There was also the fuel scarcity around the election. And then people want to travel to go vote pass in their community. They are not able to travel because transporters will insist they don't want transport.
More news and information coming up.
I'm sorry, Paul. We have to go on a break. I'm so sorry. Let's go on a quick break.
Happy birthday, Ogami! Now, wow. Oga, 73 years no dey show for your eyes, oh. You see they look your phone with ordinary eyes and it still dey sharp, all dey shine on top.
My pikin, sense no be so. Na Visionaries eye supplement na I dey drink every day.
Visionaries eye supplement.
One sharp eyes no be by age. Visionaries eye supplement is made from natural ingredients and contains essential vitamins plus omega-3. Visionaries eye supplement is a product of Vitabiotics UK. Visionaries, let your eyes speak.
Remember how mom would wake up early, make us breakfast, iron our uniform?
We have to do something special for her.
Yes, so let's make this money fast.
Why wait? Reward your mom now with a trip to Zanzibar in the 2025 Three Crowns Milk Mom of the Year competition. Write a note with each letter of her name and submit with a picture of 16s or 2 refill pouches or 30 sachets on www.threecrowns.com.ng or at our collection centers for your chance to win. T's and C's apply. 3 Crowns Milk. Healthy moms, happy families.
Omo, you dey find where you fit bet sharply and cash out anytime.
iLot Bet dey here. From iLot Bet, football, withdrawal,
Now sharp.
odds with the boss brain, 100 million casino jackpots. Intro. Life fit change with iLot Bet. Bonus boku when you sign up. And iLot Bet iBot AI there to help you for predictions matter 247.
No dollar.
Sharply download the iLot Bet app now or visit www.ilotbet.com. If you snooze, you lose. I play, I win. iLot Bet. For 18 years and above, play responsibly.
Osalobua. Baba, make you help me, oh. Make I dey shine my eyes. Make my enemies no see me, oh. Even when I dey sleep, make I no lose guard, oh. Baba, in short, choose dey help me stay alert. As Airtel, they alert me anytime Yahoo people send spam message to take scam me, oh.
At Airtel, we have taken proactive steps to keep you safe from every spam activity with Airtel News Spam Alert service. Powered by AI, it scans text in real time with no app or setup needed. Airtel, a reason to imagine.
Hey, yeah, now I be with your B, but it's strong, my mouth is fresh, it clean well, oh, now Oral-B. Strong teeth Oral-B, fresh breath Oral-B, 24/7 with Oral-B. Strong teeth Oral-B.
Give on our teeth 24 hours protection. Use Oral-B today. Na Nigerian Dental Association. Tanda Gidigba with Oral-B.
It's the choices you make that set you apart from being good to being great. My choice? Nivea Men Deep Body Lotion with Max Tech, powered by Black Carbon. Gives you both dark wood fragrance and 48-hour moisture. And my other top choice for all-day freshness, Nivea Men Deep Roll-On for 72-hour protection and fragrance with Max Tech, powered by Black Carbon. Skin is for playing it smart. Nivea is for skin.
Is that Alfie playing football in the rain?
It's Toby Chio.
My goodness. When did he grow up? That's it with kids, though.
It's amazing how your child grows up before your eyes. Enable their thriving development with the new NanKid 4 with HMOs to support your child's development, probiotics, and high-quality proteins to support age-appropriate growth. NanKid 4. Nourish your child's potential.
Little body, big moves. Little brain, big learning. Your little child is eager to do big things. Every sachet of Cerelac Junior comes with the nutrition they need: natural grains, protein, and iron to support their physical growth, learning, and development. So you can fully enjoy your little one's big moments of growth.
This is what goodness tastes like. Golden caramel, creamy buttermint, and rich coffee. There's a Cadbury candy for every moment.
Cadbury Caramel, Cadbury Coffee, Cadbury Buttermint. Sweet, smooth, and full of flavor. Whether you're chilling at home or on the move, there's a Cadbury candy for every mood.
Yeah, there's a Cadbury candy for every moment.
What does it really mean to live limitless? It's a sojourn in Gombe, leading a procedure in Lagos. It's SMEs showing up every day, pushing through the odds. It's students in remote towns, trimming global lectures in real time. It's you making big moves in London while chilling by the pool in Abeokuta. It's power. It's freedom. It's mounting a router outside and connecting it inside for super fast internet. It's Airtel 5G Smart Connect. Enjoy unlimited data for limitless living with Airtel 5G Smart Connect. Visit the nearest Airtel shop to get yours. Airtel.
Here you go, dear.
Mom, you didn't add milk.
No need to. Taste it and see why.
Wow, but how?
Is it milky?
Yes.
Is it creamy?
Yes.
That's Milo 3-in-1 milky and creamy for you. It's so milky. I don't need to add more milk.
I love it, Mommy.
Give your kids Milo 3-in-1, milky and creamy. It's truly milky. It contains calcium to help your champ win every day. Milo, energy to go further.
Milo. Ibuka capsule full ground. Anytime pen they around. If pen one show in power, 3 in 1 day. To knock and power. Ibuka pain for body, pain from fever. That's why I carry up always. Ibuka mama then I will. Ibuka they buy me always. Ibuka for you always.
After 3 days, if body no tranga, go see doctor. Na Shalina Healthcare Limited dem market am.
Pharmaceutical Society of Nigeria Tandagdiba with Ibuka.
This is where the headlines meet the hot takes.
What are the feelings of people knowing that Fubara is set to return as governor of Rivers State?
We have crisis before, we have actions during, and definitely there will be some actions after.
Regulation of food prices, I think that some miracle is supposed to happen, and our magician is the president.
The farmers that you are giving directives to say you want to crash the full price, they are not only farmers.
You know, some of these monies that we've continuously been taxed.
Take seriously. Or they were just brought in by devil to come and make us suffer.
Kogi state government has lamented that youth take weapons and food to bandits.
Nigeria's investors who are in the diaspora are complaining. You are asking investors who are not in Nigeria to come and invest. Are you kidding me?
Stay with us on 99.3 Nigeria Info.
This is Hard Facts.
And we are live on Facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM. We're also live on YouTube, Nigeria Info FM. We're still talking about electoral reforms, the need for us to continue to have conversations around the electoral process in itself, not just voter education, civic education. political education, everything you need to know. But are we having those conversations, or are we having political fights and, quarrels on social media as opposed to what should be the order of the day? Because while we're fighting, the politicians are strategizing. My guest is Paul James, and he's been talking to us about what he thinks should be our priorities. Paul, before the ad break, broke our conversation, you were talking about what should be front and center for us as citizens in the game of politics. Yeah,
like we were saying, you need an all-round engagement from citizens, not just episodic. All-round, because if they apply election cycle approach, they want to also be there when the process begin, election day instead, and also post-election. At the moment, we are building towards the 2027 election, like I said, and the commission is currently conducting the continuous voter registration or exercise. There are conversations around electoral reform, and very soon, in the next 2 months, there will be, if you like, change in the leadership of INEC. Our citizens following these conversations. We don't want to wait until these things are done before we begin to ask the questions. This is a time that citizens need to organize in whatever kind of form to mobilize themselves to follow through all that is happening in the electoral process. You made a point also about political parties. Citizens won't know want to wait until party processes are done, party primaries are done, before they are left with the options of the devil and the deep blue sea, and then they begin to talk about the not having favorable candidates that they want to support in the election. Citizens, nothing stops them from also registering to be members of the political parties. They may think they may not have a say here, but they could also be lucky to be part of the people that will appoint or that will nominate people at the primaries that will get to bring out people that will represent the parties. There'll be different forms of participation if they like, and if they are part of the political parties. But this is, for me, the time to be part of all the process leading through the elections, so that election day will not come and then people will be surprised at how things are happening. Like I had mentioned earlier also, it is critical that also citizens pay attention to what is happening around election administration itself. If you recall, there was a time that there was some noise from Delta State, perhaps about some constituency delineation that had happened. What is it about and all of that? These are like the new, if you like, landmark that INEC is allocating that will have a lot of effect, especially also about representation in the National Assembly, state assemblies, and all of that. So you also want people to pay attention to how this is done, ask the right questions, especially through their representative, to also ensure that their interest is adequately captured in all of the conversations.
All right, Lagos, you can join the conversation and post your comments, your thoughts. I know that there's so many questions. I was listening to my colleague, lay the foundation for this conversation, and people had so many questions. But let's talk about the priorities in these reforms that we're asking for. If you were to rank our priorities, I mean, we've talked about a few things. There's legal, there's technological, there's operational. What should we prioritize first? Looking at you being part of the system, and you've sat through so many elections, you've observed many. What is most important as we speak?
I think what is most critical is to strengthen the legal instrument for the election. If there were issues, of course, people have pointed what the issues are. One of the concerns that people have raised, for instance, is that complete all legal-related issues concerning the elections before swearing in. People may want to ask, how is this practicable? It is very practicable. Kenya does that in every of its elections. Before the election, I think they set out about 60 days or thereabout before the swearing in to ensure that every legal dispute related to the elections are completed. And then that is built into the electoral calendar. And so everybody know there is like a standard committee that takes, that come on board around elections and then takes all action related to that and ensure it is all completed before election. This is something that I think it's at the heart of the National Assembly. They have been saying this even before the last election. Now the committee had a chance to put it forward, and I think it's also something that the members can support, because we also don't want people that have already been sworn in, are already in the process, to be part of, to also be part of the legal process that will also get to determine their fate. Of course, whether we like it or not, they will have some kind of influence. And it's also becoming a mockery. I think it's only in rare cases that you see that the people that are already sworn in, you see that the court upturning the election. Some of the election that happened last year, that as far as we are concerned as observers, happened under questionable circumstances. You see the winners that emerged from the election going to church and all of that, celebrating the victory that people have also questioned. So for me, I think that will be a very good step to take if we want to make things right. Of course, if you look also around election technology, you want to see that also strengthen. The question, like we keep saying, of whether or not results should be transmitted and all of that, you want that to be unambiguous in the electoral calendar, so that the commission will also have no excuse going forward. One of the reforms that we also want to see is this issue around voters card in our elections. The commission has put that forward. Civil society is also saying, hey, at this age, at this point in time, do we need any sort of voters card if there are other means of identification, like the international passport, the Nigerian ID and all of that.
Yeah, the NIN.
So even the commission had raised concerns about that, because as it is now, commission had been able to onboard almost every Nigerian on its on the BVAS, bimodal voter accreditation system. As a voter puts his or her fingerprint, it pops up all the information about the voter. So what you may need is just a secondary information to just double check an ID card or something. If we do that, people may have questions for that, but if you do that, it reduces a lot. And what the commission is also saying is that you could even have a printout of the voter information at the point of voting. So once you are able to put your biometrics, it pops up or print out your card at that point, and then voter is confirmed and the voters vote. We may not want to go full scale on that, but like I said, you have other elections ahead of us that we can see how that is practicable before we go into the national election. So, there are so much of interest, especially if you look through the election that has happened, especially also issues of political parties. I know the last time President Buhari sections 84 through 89 of the electorate about party financing and all of that, when people raised the questions about how much political parties were charging for nomination, parties are charging in excess of 50 million and thereabout, and that closes the space, especially where you have, we know income levels are not the same. You have people that also you think are very ambitious and you think can also provide quality representation, but you are not able to put them forward because the resources are not there. I know the argument at that point is that you cannot determine these things for political parties, but can we have a ceiling? Can we have some sort of, a ceiling for political parties and say, don't go beyond this? And I think that is also very critical. Now, I know also one of the issues we want to discuss is this issue also around early campaign and all of that. If you look at the provision of Section 94(2) of the Electoral as it is, it just paltry sum for violation of this early campaign, 500,000.
But that's detail for a lot of offences in the Electoral Act. They're more like a slap on the wrist, isn't it?
That's what I'm saying. So can we strengthen all of these things? How stringent can we make this to just ensure people avoid all of that? One thing that ANEC will tell you is that it's even difficult for the commission to track issues around campaign finance. And now you begin to see reasons because when this early campaign starts, it's difficult to even know how much parties are spending. Some of these parties started campaigns since last year. I recall in the Edo election in September, almost all the parties were in Edo. Almost all the governors were in Edo. And then if you see the kind of utterances that some of the party chairmen made at that point, they said that was for them a launch pad, like a template for what to expect, for what to come. So if that is not the kind of election you want to see, so you want to see a review of this law to cut down some of these excesses, but importantly also to strengthen the ability of the commission to manage our elections. One of the calls from all of this reform is also around the nomination into INEC. INEC also
Yeah,
made
that's
that
a
call.
very big issue for my colors, most importantly, because that conversation had been launched earlier on.
Yeah.
The questions as to why does it have to be the president who has intentions to run, nominating the person who, of course, will be ratified by the National Assembly, who stand on the president's mandate in this case.
Yeah.
Might not be the case of every other president, but in this case.
Yeah.
And to avoid this being, the modus operandi going forward, how do we address this issue as we are, amending the Constitution and the electoral laws?
Whether we like it or not, this create a lot of undue advantages. And again, as much as I know we love drawing from other democracies, there are other beautiful democracies to learn from. Cape Verde is an example. Which other African countries again? I think even Ghana is also another example. That way you have some of them put committees of eminent personalities in place that help them with this nomination. And why won't we learn something from that? If you go back to the Justice Uwe's report of 2008, one of the recommendations from the commission, from the report, was to take off that responsibility from the president and hand it over to the judicial JNC, National Judicial Commission, and then people also question the credibility of that commission. But again, truthfully, as Nigerians, we have to come to that place where we also trust that we can manage our affairs as Nigerians. I would rather go through think of a process where you nominate credible allow nominations from credible Nigerians, ask people to nominate from different sectors, political parties, judiciary, civil society, and all of that, just like we had during the national conference. But you don't want to have a number that is bogus, a very controlled number. And then this number will put up, adverts for people to apply. People apply, and then you get names, and then you subject this name to public scrutiny from every aspect, finances, tests related to security and all of that. And then from there, you then push the name to the National Assembly for ratification. And then
Paul,
you move on.
This sounds all great. But looking at the Nigeria, I'm going to give you 1 minute to respond to me because I want to open up the phone lines. It all sounds great, in a manner of speaking, and on paper maybe. But looking at today's Nigeria under the Tinubu administration, and not just about Tinubu, let's not just put him out there to fry, and all the politicians that we see in today's Nigeria, how tenable is this idea of yours?
That's what I'm saying. So we have to come to the place where we have to tell ourselves the honest truth and take this off the politicians. We cannot allow the politicians to be taking every decision for Nigeria. As much as I know, we elected them. As representative, we need to speak truth to power and tell them what we desire or the kind of change we want to see. Put this up for debate and see if people will not debate about it. Put this up, even if it is a referendum you want for people to vote on this, I am sure with the kind of experiences that people have had in the past, people will want to vote yes, and you want to see this taking off the presidency. We have seen some kind of nomination that happened and how people reacted to the nominations. If you think about the nominations for somebody from Sokoto before the 2023 election, the people of the state rejected the nomination. Similar also, I think in Abia State or thereabout. Look at what turned out also in Adamawa. It's not just even about nomination. It's so much so that the authority dynamics there. Some of them don't even respect the authority from Abuja. They do as a place because they feel the INEC chairman isn't the one that nominated them, or they feel they were nominated same as the way the INEC chairman was nominated. That is not the kind of thing you want to see in our election. We have had issues, we have had instances where nominations will be made by the president. People will protest, people will react about the nomination. At the end, National Assembly will tell the nominee to take a bow and go. You want to have a process, a very accountable process where the wishes of the people are taken on board. And the only way that can happen for me is to have to start from an independent committee first. That will start the first nomination process before the National Assembly can ratify the nomination.
All right, Lagos, the phone lines are open 0201 277 0993 0201 465 7190 on our live stream, facebook.com/Nigeria Info FM, and on YouTube. Post your questions, your comment. Paul is here to answer for the next 5 to 6 minutes. Keep it short and straight to the point. Thank you very much. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah, good evening, Maryann. Good evening to your guest. Jonathan is my name.
Go ahead, please.
This is my taste that I want to put down. Number one, I dislike a situation by 10% of us decide who becomes a president or becomes a governor. You remember your guest last week or last 2 weeks who was saying 80% of us will go to the beach. You remember that saying he said that day? That's exactly what is happening. So I want to see a situation, but that was why I was excited when a House member was coming with a law. But people don't understand. That is one. Number two, parties. Parties must have agents on all polling units. That law is still there. I don't think it has changed. They must, and any party that cannot fulfill that part of that thing should not be allowed to contest, because that will help the legal process too. Having said that, I want to also say your guests have spoken very well. Everybody out here should go and register and get their card.
All right.
And it's key.
All right. Thank you very much for calling. 60 seconds, everyone. Just go straight to the point. Thank you very much. Welcome to Hard Facts.
Yeah. Good evening, Maryann.
Good evening.
This is Femi from Elegushi.
Go ahead.
Maryann, your guest is like me in the morning, because I when the newscast about there is we are contributing during the morning. I spoke concerning this electoral reform, and I see that whatever we are talking about in this country right now should not be anything else but this electoral reform, because this is the only process that we can have. The people can have the truth leader that they really want. There are different sectors of rigging election. In one, especially in the polling unit, there are most times that I have visited this polling unit, I discover that most parties, they don't have their representatives there, and it gives room for rigging of an election. That is one part.
All right.
The other
I have to let you go because of
appointment
time. I need to give everybody 1 minute, please. Just go straight to the point. You don't even have to finish your minute. Hello.
Hello. Good evening.
Good afternoon. Good evening.
AB from Ekpe speaking.
AB, go ahead, please.
Do you think that this president we allow all this electoral, even if you allow
the president is not in charge of the electoral reforms? You know that it's the National Assembly. So again, the onus is on the people who represent you, not the president. He's not a legislator.
He will be the one to sign it. He will be the one to sign it.
Yeah, but the legislators outnumber the president if they all decide in order to make sure that the people are represented properly.
This kind of president we have, he will not sign it to. I know very well he will sign it too.
Okay.
We should just allow him to finish the 8 years and then just go like that. He even deserves it, because
why would we allow him to?
For this democracy.
Every tenure anyway, let me let you go first. Every tenure in our constitution is a 4-year term. It's how you people come up with this ridiculousness of let us allow him do what exactly? Hello.
Hello. Good evening, Maryann.
Good evening.
Good evening, sir. Please, though, when we are growing up, they say that power belongs to people. That power belongs to people. But in Nigeria here, I think it's otherwise in Nigeria here. But this time around, power must belong to people. Let the president and the Senate remove hand from chairman, from INEC chairman, please. Because the suffering we are passing through and pain and sorrow, not be small thing, no. Not be small thing. You can't buy drugs, can't buy anything, can't buy food. Nothing is working. Let them remove their hands. Who will elect chairman, who will screen the person, who will sign it. Yes, because they must be non-partisan.
All
Thank
right.
you.
Thank you very much for calling. I do appreciate it. I want to read some messages and then I'll let Paul just wrap things up with us because I have just less than 2 minutes. Someone here says, let's see. Okay, I'm going to try to read those messages as they come in. They're still loading. Someone here says, oh dear, I'm getting old messages come up as new ones, unfortunately. And I'm racing against the clock. I'm hoping that I can read everybody's message before we get to the top of the hour. All right. Thank God here says, Thank God says, the reason for political apathy by citizens is simply because of inconsistency on our political process and loss of trust on INEC and supporters, or rather who supports political intimidation on election day. Okay. Because of time, I'm going to let you, Paul, wrap things up here. Is there a guarantee for anything close to or the like or the type or a shadow of free and fair credible elections in come 2027?
Yes, I think if there is one currency that we should not have allowed to lose is hope, and then that can also be practicable if we get involved. That's the point I made earlier. There are a lot of things that have been proposed. And then, for instance, said they are overburdened. They need electoral offenses commission. It's something that is also up for discussion and something that people need to push. Yeah, somebody had mentioned things also about regulating political parties if they don't have agents and all of that. If you do that, you are closing up the space. Not all parties have the equal strength as others will do. What you want is that the parties should look for where they think they have strength. If I have strength to do local election, I pursue local election. If I have strength to do national election, I do national election. But also as citizens, this is where we can come to support parties. If we think the party best represents the kind of interests that we want, then we can volunteer as citizens to be their agents at every polling unit on election day.
We have to go. Yeah. Paul James, we want to say thank you for being part of the conversation. Paul James is a development consultant, election analyst, and a policy specialist. Thank you so much for joining us on Hard Facts.
Thank you very much, Maryann. All the best.
More talk, news, and sports after this.
All right, class, settle down. Today, let's talk about how you started your day.
We got dressed and had pancakes with John Vance 3-in-1 chocolate for breakfast.
My mom makes John Vance 3-in-1 chocolate for
99.3 Nigeria Info. We are more than just radio. Subscribe to our YouTube channel at Nigeria Info FM. Check us out on Facebook at Nigeria Info 99.3. Follow us on Twitter at Nigeria Info FM and on Instagram at Nigeria Info FM Lagos for live updates as it happens. 99.3 Nigeria Info. Let's talk.